Hey, everybody. Welcome to our epic office hours. I have to thank my amazing team for coming up for that clever, play on words there. I loved it. Just reminding us that we are in a college atmosphere. It's going to be fun. We are going to be at San Jack for EPIC, the Empowering Pumps and Industry Conference. And I have to say, I'm so excited to be back there. It is one of my, I guess, privileges to find these places through connections, through being able to talk to people in industry, and they point me in the right direction to amazing facilities and stumbling across, or they found me actually sitting at the Texas A&M Pump and Turbo Show. Jeff Pierce came walking by, and I had heard about him from a friend in industry, and then we met there, and so I felt like it was fate. And so we were in San Jack a couple years back to launch this, and we're back there again. And I'm just really excited to be there. I feel like home when we go there, and I feel excitement about industry. And so um, this team continues to grow. Our Epic team, our speakers. We know that we have such an amazing group that we can lean on all the time, whether we're virtual, whether we're writing an article for Empowering Pumps and Equipment, or just going to a trade show. We know that there's a wealth of knowledge there. And so being able to bring them to San Jack and get excited about industry because you can actually see the equipment and where people learn the up and coming or emerging leaders, like we like to call them, coming into our workforce and getting ready and prepared, and the excitement that comes from being in that environment. So just wanted y'all to know and hear from me how and why I love being out of college. And also I love sending out the question to people, the ability to say, hey, do you want to ask us a question? And seeing how we have such a technical audience, right? And there's this community of seeking what is the right answer, or problem solving, or just sharing knowledge. Everybody is so wonderful when it comes to that, of sharing their knowledge and gaining that expertise needed for the field. So that's going to be along the lines of our first question, but I'm going to turn it over to my team here that I have to introduce themselves. And so I'm just going to call on you because there's no other way to do this orderly. And so I'll start with Randy, who's on my screen first.
Hello, Randy Furman. I go by Randall, either name. I've been in the pump business for 49 years. I spent 30 years at a company called Byron Jackson, which eventually morphed into Flowserve. I do engineering consulting, and I usually have a good time with it.
You do. And I'm so thankful for Randall for being at Epic when we took our site tour to look at the pump that we're going to be swapping out, giving him some ideas and things about how the process could be better. So that consultant hat has already been placed on for Randy there. And it was wonderful to have him with me. Kelly.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kelly DeMar. I work for the Gas and Process Division of Atlas Copco here in Santa Maria, California. I started with the group in 2013 as a prime project manager for our turbo expanders, expander generators, and expander compressors. And I've been heading up our marketing communications team since 2023.
Wonderful. And it's a very impressive facility I just got back from. So y'all take at that if you can. Tom Hill, jump on here. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name's Tom Hill. Been in industry for 47 years. Started out in the nuclear industry, nuclear power plant design. And after the 3 Mile accident, the whole industry fizzled, and I went into oil and gas, where I designed pump stations and pipelines. And then in '89, I joined a company that wrote hydraulic transient analysis software. And I've been doing hydraulic transient analysis or surge analysis ever since, about 36 years, I guess.
And you have a cool display that you take around too, right, Tom?
I have a water hammer lab that I keep telling my employer, hey, we ought to drag this to an expo or exhibit hall somewhere sometime. I have taken it to AWWA conferences before and would demonstrate water hammer. It has an actual centrifugal pump. It has a pressure relief system. It has a surge accumulator tank, and it has some clear plastic pipe on it so we can see vapor cavity formation, all kinds of cool stuff that, yeah, I
Yeah,
can check it out.
well,
Take
I
it.
was gonna say, I still have hopes that we will see this. So,
If
stay
you
tuned.
really want me to bring it to the Epic event, I'll check it out and bring it with me. It fits in the back of my car, but then it takes about 30 minutes to put it all back together.
See, I feel like there's a yes in there somewhere in that. Okay, Greg, your turn.
I'm Greg Case. I am currently the Chief Innovation Officer for Taco Incorporated. We're an HVAC supplier, but we also have energy industry, mining industry, and irrigation, agriculture divisions that I work with. Been at this new position for a little over a year and get to explore the world and see what new technologies we should be jumping into. So met a lot of you through those interactions.
Yes, and I got to tour your plant as well. Amazing, because this is my second time to go there, and I saw all the different changes that are happening. Can't tell you all of them, but it was wonderful to see, and how you're bringing all of the technology, new technology in there. So stay tuned for that. If y'all haven't been following me on Industry Access, you better do it. Okay, so Jeremy, you're next.
Yeah, hey Charlie. Hey everybody. My name is Jeremy Drury. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer for Uptime Solutions. We're a condition monitoring company, but I was born out of the fluid power space, was in it for a long time, and also was on the bleeding edge of the industrial IoT phenomenon back in the early 2010s. So I had my own industrial IoT startup for a little while, and I've always considered myself a practical futurist. I love cool tools and cool technology, but I love to keep it really honest because there has been way too much over-promising and under-delivering with certain acronyms like IoT and AI, especially in the industrial space. So Charlie knows I love to get out on the speaking circuit and again try and make light some of the challenges that people see, but also optimistic around what is possible, with good tech in the future of maintenance and reliability.
Yes, I found Jeremy on the stage of a reliable plant, and speaking the knowledge out there. And, like I said, or like he said, just a little, let me jab at this that nobody's talking about. And I love that about you, and you do it in such an
Thank you.
entertaining way.
Great, thank you.
Craig, your turn.
Yeah, hey everybody. I'm excited to meet everybody and get connected. My name is Craig Coyle. I'm the founder of a company called Operation Lead. We help you take your frontline leaders and turn them into professional leaders. My background's actually in the military. I was an Apache pilot and commander in the Army for 8 years on active duty. Turned aerospace guy. My degree is in aerospace engineering. And one of the things that shocked me when I left the military is all the challenges I saw with culture, with retention, with engagement, I saw all over the industry, regardless of what niche in manufacturing or really just the overall industrial base people are in. And so I said, you know what? I'm gonna go help people solve this, and been running Operation Lead ever since. So excited to share what I've learned and help everybody take a step along in their journeys.
Yes, and I had the pleasure of doing a one-on-one with Craig, and I felt just like, yes, that's what I'm missing. I'm missing that part right there. And so I was like, I gotta have you join us, and so thank you for making that work. Speaking of that, and just like how we find people to be speakers, yes, I'm out there, but so is my team in the background. So I'm gonna jump over here to Becca and let her introduce herself.
Hi, so I'm Becca, and I am the Chief Marketing Officer for Empowering. So obviously I do marketing, but also business operations for, of course, Empowering Pumps and Equipment, which streams into Epic. And then we have Empowering Women in Industry that we also support. So I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for being here. And Amber, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Amber. I have been with Empowering Pumps for 8 years. I am the Director of Marketing.
And she does all the things that I don't even know how they happen. She finds out and then tells me. Thank you, Amber, for being here too. George, will you jump on here and introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's George Williams. I'm the owner of a company called Reliability X, and we help manufacturing and non-manufacturing plants improve performance. Boy, it's interesting to hear everybody prior to me, including Craig, talk about the human element of this. That's exactly what we focus on. We usually get calls because people think they have a machine problem, but in reality, they've got everything that surrounds the machine problems. And so that's what we focus on.
Wonderful. Stephanie, I see your background, but I don't see you. Are you there to jump on here? There she is. Okay.
Hi everyone. I was literally just scarfing down my lunch. So you made it perfect timing, Charlie.
Wonderful.
So my name is Stephanie Hadachek and I work for Enbridge. I'm currently assigned to a new project that we're developing here in South Texas called Project Yarn. It's a proposed blue ammonia production facility. So going through permitting right now. So literally haven't even put a shovel in the ground sort of thing. And let me tell y'all, I had no idea projects went through all that we're going through to get to where we're talking to our pump manufacturers, our valve manufacturers. Like it is just, I'm doing community and stakeholder engagement for the project. So being out in the community, helping them get to know who we are, what we're doing, how we're doing it, why we're doing it. And yeah, it's definitely been an interesting year to say, but I feel good about it. I feel like we're going to be pushing forward here pretty soon. And so I've been connected with Charlie, gosh, for the last, 6 or so?
Well, 2019 was our first
20?
Empowering. Yeah.
Yeah. So met her through Empowering Women. She really, I mean, has inspired me and just, I mean, I started my own nonprofit organization to help girls, specifically K through 12, explore careers in industry, construction, energy, manufacturing, and maritime, from skilled trades to STEM. So do a lot of work in the K through 12 space, just helping build our talent pipeline.
And she's going to work on bringing the girls to Epic and doing some hands-on training with them. There's several labs that we have, and I know you've already done it before there at San Jack. They have set up different valves and piping. They've done like safety harnesses and things like that, electrical boards, and just all the tools. And as I know, every time I pick up a power tool, how empowering that is. Being able to do that with students. She's got the heart for the young students. And then we have the college age students there that are actually mentoring some of these children too, and giving back in the community there at San Jack. So excited for y'all to meet them. And then of course, an empowered woman, just to be able to be a role model for others so that they can do the same things out there in the field is so wonderful. So thank you for that, Stephanie. There's a few more people on the call that I'd like to introduce. Ahmed, you are always there. So jump on here and tell people about you.
Hi, I'm like Stephanie. I know Charlie from last 6 years, beginning from like empowering industry, empowering pump equipment, empowering women. I have been very active. She's my what's called motivator with a always positive vibe whenever she's there or wherever she's there. I have been in the lubricant industries from last 43 years, based in Canada, and enjoying all sorts of these discussions. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. The other people on the call are not cameras on, but if y'all do want to jump on here, just turn your camera on and I will let you introduce yourself. In the meantime, let's jump in to our questions, okay? So we talked about having this highly technical audience, right? That is the people that read our newsletters, engineers, operators, maintenance personnel, manufacturers, leaders and owners. And we can talk technical, right? We've got the crew here to do that. But we also want to make sure that we're thinking about the people that are coming in too, right? Oh, did I forget Gakuo? That's because I was talking to him earlier. Oh, Gakuo, jump on here. What are you doing? Introduce
Sorry.
yourself. He's one of my favorites. I thought we already knew him. Go ahead.
That's okay, Charlie. I'm having fun just listening in. It's a great group. So, my name is Gakuo Danga, and I've known Charlie for I want to say pushing 10 years now, which is crazy to think about. I actually started in the industry as a mechanic, repairing material handling equipment. Moved on to be a sales engineer in the fluid world. Then became a bearing expert, which I worked at 9 years at SKF and moved on to become a senior engineer now at WD Bearing Group. So right now, I think Charlie and I we work a lot together with Epic. So I'm the if anyone has bearing questions on the industry side, feel free to reach out to me.
Yes, and Gakuo pushes me to tell my story too. I don't think I've mentioned that, but he does say like, "Okay, how did you do this, Charlie?" You know, and ask like and the answer to that is it's different for we've moved so far in advance. If you created an empowering brand today, it would look different. It would be a different path. But the first thing is saying yes and jumping on these silly virtual or social media things that I have, right? So I thank you for that, Gakuo, and just inspiring me to keep going. And so with that, we'll move on. I'll just ask you all the questions, and Gakuo, you can start. How do you see events like Epic helping bridge the gap from the technical expertise to the broader conversations, or even the basic conversations of bringing new people in industry? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I'm sure we have a lot of experienced people on this panel. But for younger folks, for younger engineers or people in the industry, one of the things I was thinking about today is one of the challenges you're going to experience is you're going to hear this statement a lot. We've always done things this way. It's frustrating for young engineers who are looking to be as efficient as possible. There's a little bit of a culture shock to understand a lot of things have been done similarly for decades, right? Now, with integration of AI where we are today, there's a bridge that needs to happen between the younger, more maybe technologically savvy young people with industry people who are very comfortable with just kind of doing things how they've been used to. So, the bridging of the gap is going to require both parties to say, okay, I'm an experienced person. I need to learn something new. And I'm a young person. I need to understand that things have been done a certain way before me.
Yeah, I love that. I'm not going to say who is the oldest person on the call. Jump in. That's just rude, right? But because there's so many, does somebody want to? Y'all just come off of mute, and I will see that you want to say something. That's the easiest way that I can navigate so many. Kelly, go ahead.
I was just going to say, to your point, Charlie, I know we could talk technical all day, but when I started at Atlas Copco, some of my favorite people were our most senior engineers. And sometimes, I always tease them. I'm like, you can't be so smart and also have people skills. Sometimes my favorite engineers are the people that you really kind of have to work at to kind of get through that hard shell. And they turn out to be the best relationships and the most wonderful mentors. And I think it's really about tapping into that, tribal knowledge that people have for being somewhere 20, 30, 40 years. And also, inviting innovation and creativity into the conversation and realizing that our younger team members are going to come in with new ideas and this new ignited passion for what they're doing and what they want to try, and trying to find that really nice middle ground and accepting both of those, types of people.
I love that. I'm going to pick on Greg in a minute, but HJ, I see, has jumped in here. HJ, you want to introduce yourself and answer the question how Epic is helping to bridge technical expertise in the more general industry conversations or young people coming in?
So yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So I apologize for dropping off. I had a forced reboot that's been happening all day, and whatever, I guess IT systems are keeping up. So I'm H.J. Dewis. I've been with ABB for over 35 years, all in the drives business. I'm long time there and have been a supporting member of the Epic team for quite a while, actually, since the beginning. So how is Epic, was the question, how is Epic kind of bridging the gap between experience and new? What's that look like?
Yeah.
So I would say there's a lot of reasons. First of all, I think this kind of a platform, right? The expertise that you've engaged with in Epic, as we were going around the room and introducing ourselves, 30 years experience, 40 years experience, 45 years experience, a ton of experience, a breadth of knowledge in the industry and in the specific spaces. So it's not, I would say, just the pumping space, but there's other auxiliary or tangential roles that are represented in the Epic group. And then obviously the newcomers and students and young talent, young engineers and not engineers, myself not being an engineer. I think Epic does a really good job of bridging the gap between the traditional engineering student and the technology experts, as well as people that are looking to grow up in the industry and maybe play roles that are inside or outside of engineering. So I think it's a really, really good forum to answer some of those questions that may not just be technically challenging. One of the things I think that Epic's focused on a lot is young talent development, early talent development, and bringing students and early talent into a forum that they may not necessarily get to participate with senior leaders and very seasoned professionals. And so I think Epic does a wonderful job at bridging that gap.
Thank you very much. Greg, it made me think of you because of the word innovation. And every time we talk about that and like, how do we innovate in the pump industry? Prior to my industry access tours that I've been going on, I used to think like, can we innovate in the pump industry? But we are doing it all the time. So can you talk to that a little bit?
On the innovation side or back to
Yeah,
our
and just
question?
how you
Okay.
see Epic bringing people together in that way too.
Well, I think there's some fantastic things that you've done and your team's done, and I love to hear about Stephanie's story there about the nonprofit she's working with. First things first is bringing more women into the industry, and we all know that you were just talking about engineers and one of the comments was about the hard shell engineers that Kelly made, that was difficult to get through them, and like her, some of those are my best friends these days. Those are my, as I get older and crustier, I tend to be more and more one of them, I think. That group has a lot of knowledge and has a lot of we'll go with wisdom, and I'll call them tenured, not old. There's a lot of reasons that we do things a certain way in the pump industry or in any industry, and that's there to be respected. There are a lot of new ideas and a lot of new technologies coming to the industry that are simply amazing, and they're rewriting the rules. And I think Epic, especially as we go to, last year we're at the Colorado School of Mines, this year we're at Sanjak. As we go to these places and we talk to these students, these people have some incredible thoughts on what we might change. I know that we've had, people come in and they're a mechanical engineer for us, but man, they're really great at Python programming too. And they have redone our laboratory setups and all of the things that you would have thought, oh, we got to go get a contractor for this, and we got to buy all this equipment. No, on a shoestring, they've got some Raspberry Pi things, and they've set up a new Python program, and voila, we have a new test setup, and it cost us $138 in a week of this emerging engineer's time. So it really, I think, just be open, and I see more and more of those old crusty engineers being a little more open and amazed by what these early career individuals can do. So.
And that's where we have to stay, is to be in awe of each other, right? And learning and collaborating with each other, and just like, yes, you are amazing. both of you are amazing.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I want to Randall, I want you to comment on this, because you've been with me at all the epics, and the other people on the call are kind of new and joining us. But what is your thoughts on it? And because you've seen it and you've seen us kind of move around too. Thoughts about Epic?
Well, this field is a lifetime of learning. You can't, I've been in this industry for, I said, 49 years, and I'm learning all the time. And I think there's a great value in these conferences, in expanding your viewpoints, because you contact these different people that have, areas of knowledge that maybe you don't, maybe you've just heard of it. You start to get into a conversation with them, and if you got into engineering, you've got to have a certain degree of, let's say, curiosity about things. You can't stay in this field without wanting to find out more or find out about, and to be able to talk to these people and get their point of view and what they've done, it just expands your knowledge of the industry, and it makes you more valuable, to know these other people and to know what they're doing. And in some cases, you remember Christopher Sands. I don't know if he's showing up again. I've been in contact with him. I met him at the, I think, the first Epic, and then that's now turned into a valuable contact for me.
Yeah, and we can't discount that of who's going to be in the room. I mean, just this room is so powerful. I feel like I'm in I couldn't quit smiling. I am just like so excited about this. Stephanie, I see your hand, and y'all, that's a great way to just get my attention. So Stephanie, go ahead.
I have so many thoughts on this because just in the space I've been working in, these last 4 years, I have seen, and anytime I get to talk to kids, whether, it's just girls or if it's boys and girls, because I do a lot of presentations at schools, high schools, and I always tell them, I make it a point to tell them, you might not come out of your certification program, your degree program, and go and work for the names that you're used to seeing, right? Your Exxons, your Valeros, your Cheniers. Look to who they rely on to help do what they do. So whether it's their contractors, who they supplement their workforce with, their control valve suppliers, their pump manufacturers, like they don't really hear those names very often. And I think this gives them an opportunity to kind of see how um, we play into it, and how does, like, they can go and work for a company like this and still be part of that bigger picture that they want to be. And so that's why I think this is a great opportunity. And I've got a really great relationship with Sanjak. And like you said earlier, it's just getting them like that exposure that just kind of opens the door to a whole world that they probably just never knew existed, right? And just sparking that interest. Because one thing I've learned about this next generation is like they want to go and make a difference in this world. They want to go and work for a company where they know that they're making an impact, and we need to show them how we're doing that, right? And so definitely a great space to be working in. And that's, why I think Epic is such a good opportunity to kind of reach that audience, right? And give them that opportunity.
Awesome. Kelly, did you have something to add?
Me?
Well, you were off mute.
I always have something to add. No, I was just looking, at the bottom of Stephanie's screen, the same as yours, the connect, inform, and educate, and just thinking about, the diversity and inclusion of this panel and how diverse this team is and how that kind of translates to a college campus and college atmosphere. I mean, you don't only have, right, young people in a college, right? Age is just a number and people learn their entire lives. And that's why people like myself, we change careers, and because we're interested in learning more and doing more and building our own brand and changing where we're going within our industry and things like that. So I was just vibing, nothing in
Yeah,
particular.
it's
Yeah, carry
so
on.
great. And so true, especially at San Jack. And some of the things is they have the night school and, you know, the trades that they learn and different. It's just amazing, that school. HJ, I see you.
So I was going to say a very similar comment around diversity, right? Diversity to me one of the biggest things, and so I've been a champion for empowering women for a long period of time, right? But to me, one of the biggest things for diversity is the diversity of perspective, and how, you know, we get so caught into this way of working that we know our perspective, and then sometimes we listen to other people's perspectives. But I have to say, whether it's young or if it's from the women that are in our industry or other people from different ethnic backgrounds, different global experiences, right? The way people think and the perspectives that people bring, they continually.
Oh, there went HJ has been rebooted again. But that was a great point. So we captured it. Let's see, Jeremy, I want to change the conversation a little bit. I'm gonna direct it to you because we vibed like this. But the AI, we hear so much about it. There's, you know, definitely skepticism. There's, you know, unbelief. There's, okay, you're way too ahead of things, whatever it is. But how do we actually, you know, get together and know what is hype and what is real as far as innovation goes?
Can I take the next hour
Yeah.
to answer this one? No, I'll try and do it in just a few minutes. No, it's the right question, Charlie. You know, I'll say a couple quick things. It always sticks with me anytime I go to a conference, and I always see this spectrum of like hardcore futurists. You know, I always remember people talking about Industry 5.0 when I was just trying to get to people like to Industry 3.2, you know, some years ago. And then, you know, you have the what I would just say like long tenured, respected like juggernauts of the industry. I'm thinking like Dr. Howard Penrose, the guys at Reliability X. And I always I gravitate toward that camp, even though again, I love cool tools. And that camp is always just saying focus on fundamentals. And I find that fascinating that the people that have been doing this the longest just continue to preach doing the fundamentals really well. You know, and because to me, you know, Matt Knuth, who also kind of gets around the speaking circuit, I love what he says is that you can't censor your way to reliability. You can't you can't technology your way to, you know, good maintenance and reliability. You know, it always starts with culture and programmatic approaches, you know, and again, just doing all the basic things correctly. And so, you know, and so to me, you know, I've learned to appreciate wisdom more than knowledge because wisdom comes with experience. We can all just talk smart, you know, but wisdom comes with experience. And those that have experience continue to say, hey, fundamentals first. And so the only other thing that I'll add, because I am a believer that at some point, you know, AI can still have its place in this space, as we were just talking about innovation. But I think that the key dichotomy that I want people to be able to separate out is what I would say is common machine problems and really complex machine problems. And we love to just envelope both of those, that AI can tackle it. And I think we are decades, if not forever, away from AI to be able to be trained to have the contextual understanding that the reason that machine is failing over there is because Jimmy keeps plugging a line with a dirty rag, you know, to plug a leak there. You can't train an AI in order to be able to spot those things. But common failures, we can probably commit that at some point we can continue to train repetitions to be able to solve those, but we will forever need smart humans in the loop to really kind of programmatically shape reliability cultures and all of that. So I'll take a healthy pause there because you got me going.
I know.
But I'll stop.
I love it. I love it. Anybody want to comment there on just, or I'm going to pick on somebody because I know a couple people I want to ask, but does anybody want to comment?
I can chime in, Charlie.
Okay.
Yeah, no, this is a big topic, especially now. And you know, I presented a little bit on AI and how it affects the fluid world. You know, the biggest thing, AI's technology, just like everything else, just like computers, calculators, the internet, it takes time for adoption, right? And one thing we have to accept is our industry is very mature. And to accept change overnight is not going to happen. What we have to really figure out is how do we blend what AI can do with what we need from our world. A pump can last for 30 years without AI, right? So where does AI come in? That's a real question for, you know, everybody to say, well, just because you have this tool, you need to figure out what's best fit. It's not always going to be the most advanced technology is the best to use for every application, right? And that's going to take time. And just as you know, Jeremy had said, this could take years, probably longer, most likely longer. We know that. But I still think it's at least exciting for us to know we have more tools than we've ever had before.
Yeah. All right, George, bring it.
This is always an interesting topic for me. For me, the start of all this is what problem are we trying to solve? Because if we think the problem we're trying to solve is we need a bigger billboard, it's not going to solve the problem. We already can use many technologies to determine what types of fires are going to occur. A different technology telling us with a larger billboard is not the problem we're trying to solve. The problem I see that we need to solve is the delta between skills trades and how we execute at the line, the whole people piece of this. And AI can potentially do some of those things, but we've got to shape it to do that. We've got to capture the current knowledge base in such a manner that AI can be useful, because there's an awful lot of useless information that AI learns from. And we've got to make sure we're feeding it the useful information, right? Localized within a company to learn from, not the expanded entire intranet or internet to learn from. So I think first we've got to define what problem we're trying to solve. And I think it's a mistake for us to think that we need a bigger billboard.
All right, y'all heard it from him. All right. Oh, Jeremy, bring it. Come on.
Sorry, just one other thing, because the
Okay.
other big challenge here, because I agree with everything everyone is saying, is, you know, as venture capital and private equity started to roam around the industrial space, they've become they care about AI and IoT and all of that. And most of them have probably never turned a wrench in their entire life. And they're not paid to turn wrenches. They're paid to be visionaries and know 51% of a problem and make decisions upon it. And so where I've also seen a great just disconnect is that vertical communication through organizations on how to actually connect top floor, shop floor types of connections. And I do think companies like Reliability X and companies like ours and other people on this call, I actually think it's going to be more of our burden to try and stitch those companies together, because inside out, those conversations just aren't happening in effective ways that I think really kind of move the ball forward.
Oh yeah, I believe there's a lot that is our responsibility, which is why we are together and why Epic is created, right? To have these conversations. One question that was sent in, I want to mention, it talks about relying on 50 and 60-year-old data, right? And what I think this is part of what we're talking about here is, you know, even some of the things that we talk to associations about, we're like, we've already taken care of that. We've been trying to get other people to just know that this is a new way of doing things. And that takes time, just the distribution of information. So how can we as an industry ensure that research and tools and best practices in this fast-paced world of today, how can we ensure that they get it, that we use it, that it's out there? Big question.
I'm going to chime in here. You know, as a consulting engineer, I scratch around for every piece of data I can get my hands on. something that's 50 or 60 years old, it could be super valuable. I mean, let's go back, the three laws of, physics were put down 360 years ago. The pump technology goes back 275 years. Modern, quote unquote, modern pump technology goes back to the mid 19th century. So data, okay, so data is one thing. And then there's knowledge and fundamentals, which is completely different. So you have to distinguish between the two. But in this field, sometimes 50, 60-year-old data is the best you're going to get. Sometimes it's great data. I for years relied upon test data that went back to the 1930s. In some cases, even earlier.
Well, I think that's too like what Jeremy was saying about we can't, or it might have been George, sorry, in that conversation about like humans have to be able to discern what they're looking at. George, I see your hand. Go ahead.
So just as an example, I know this is going to be tough to see, but we're going to give that a try. Can everybody see that?
Art 1927. Oh my goodness.
So we have a current client who's a mine that was just shut down by MSHA because they didn't know the specifications of a cable. And we looked through their 1927 CMMS and found the specifications on the original cable sizing. So the data, regardless of age, if you know what you're looking for, can be useful if it exists. It's the gap between how well they kept records on paper then and how well they're currently keeping records. That's the problem, not the age of it. As a matter of fact, their new data is terrible, or I would have known the information right away.
Yeah. And again, it's on us to find it, to use it, to look for it, to ask the question. I haven't heard from Craig in a while. I'm going to give you the floor for a minute. Tom, get ready. You're next.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just sitting back, and these are my types of people, right? I mean, I have an aerospace degree. I studied aerodynamics in my technical days, and so I love hearing people talk about technology and how things are evolving. And one of the things that I always come back to when talking in this, and I think George really started to hit on it when he kind of mentioned, well, what are we trying to accomplish? What problem are we trying to solve? And I typically say, whenever we're talking about technology or even a significant change, you could frame what happened in the industry around COVID in this too, is it's typically just going to expose what already exists, right? And so if we're working within four walls and there's a lot of cultural challenges, well, a new technology is probably going to expose what already exists, and we're probably going to struggle adapting it, right? Same thing happened in COVID. Same thing happened when a lot of companies had to go virtual, right? The companies that struggled going virtual is because it was simply just exposing some challenges that already existed within their four walls. And so when I frame that through the lens of what are we doing and how can we help bring people into our industry? How can we help recruit some of the best talent, whether it's looking at from a whole industry perspective or just a single company perspective? I always just come back to, well, what are we doing to give people a reason to get out of bed every morning? Because if someone wants to get out of bed every morning and they have purpose, and a few people have talked about people and purpose and those things before, well, then guess what? They're probably going to be motivated to figure out how to apply AI in what they're doing each and every day. Or they're probably going to be motivated to still get work done even if they're working from home, right? Or they're going to be motivated to help figure out how to apply some of these fast moving trends or solutions, or just be completely innovative, right? Come up with something new that can really transform the industry and help our smaller companies become a huge player. And so what it comes down to, the question then becomes not how do you create that purpose, but arguably who creates that purpose. And I think a lot of us get confused there because we think, oh, well, the CEO is just going to do that. Or, it's just something that has to come naturally. Well, I don't think that's the case. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell a quick story and then I'll kind of hand it back over to you, Charlie. But my dream was to be a pilot. That's all I ever wanted to be. I mean, like if I had the like I was more excited when I was going on vacation as a little kid and there's an ambulance outside my door. So sorry for the soundtrack. What I was more excited to go to the airport than actually go to the beach or whatever. Like I'm telling you, like straight everything I ever wanted to be. Well, then why, when I accomplished that dream and I was 23 years old, serving as an Apache pilot, literally doing everything that I could have ever wanted to do with my life, was I miserable? Had nothing to do with what I was doing. Had everything to do with who I was around, the culture I was a part of, and the person that I was directly reporting to and how they were influencing me each and every day. And so if we can figure out how to empower those individuals, right, we're not just going to bring people into our industry, we're going to keep them there. And then what's going to happen? They're going to tell their friends who are probably still in college, right, or who are working in another industry and not happy, and they're going to bring them in. And it becomes this chain of almost marketing, but from a workforce perspective, where people have purpose and they're showing up. And it's, you know, a lot of people talk about it in terms of a generational thing. I actually don't think it's a generational thing. I think every generation has had purpose. Maybe that purpose has just shifted based off the cultural demands, right? Back in the day with the boomers, their purpose was just to have a stable income. And so they're happy working in one place for the rest of their lives. That was something the generation before them never really had access to. Well, our generation now has been formed in this really safe and secure environment, and they have this desire to go have impact. And if we can give them that purpose each and every day, I think a lot of the things that we're talking about are ultimately going to solve themselves, right? Because we can't really choose who's going to come up with the next creative solution. But if we can create a place where that's nurtured and that environment, that soil, if you will, is fertile to create that, well, then we're doing our job as the leaders in the industry.
Talking leadership right there, that is it. We've got to make sure that our leaders who are leading other people realize how to be the best leader that they can be. So good. Greg, I saw you jump on. Do you want to add?
I think Tom had a comment before I did.
Okay, I'll swap to you then. Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, back to the earlier topic you had mentioned about good, bad, and ugly of old data. In some cases, projects I've worked on, I've had very old data that really impressed me. And I was gobsmacked by how accurate some of these hand calculations were from the 1930s and 1940s. I worked on a project for the Delaware Aqueduct, trying to conduct a surge analysis on this tunnel that takes water from the upstate New York area and it flows by gravity to New York City, and that's their water supply. And I thought, how in the world did they design this? And I looked at those design calculations and I thought, wow, this is impressive. This is, my hat's off to them. None of them are around today, but hey, you know, their legacy.
Still appreciate them. Yes.
Yeah, yes. And now all that was done. It was 1944, I think, was when I saw a bunch of articles about it being commemorated and installed and up and running. And I'm thinking, for those of you in pipeline design are familiar with the equations, the Darcy-Weisbach equation did not exist at that time. That's tantamount to any pipeline hydraulics equations. And so how they didn't have computers around to do any of the analyses, and they certainly couldn't have done a transient analysis. And so where data goes bad, and I experience this all the time and it bites me in the rear, is on pump inertia and motor inertia. I have to use those data parameters for moments of inertia when I conduct a surge analysis, and I have to simulate what happens when there's a power failure and the pumps spin down, and you know, if the inertia is large, like with a big flywheel, it's going to spin longer, and the pumps and motors from 50, 60 years ago were heavier than they are today. Those that are manufactured now are not built hell for stout the way they were 50, 60 years ago. They're built with the minimum amount of material needed to make them function and last a reasonable amount of time, but very lightweight for shipping. And, you know, they have less inertia, they're going to spin down fast, and the surge is going to be a whole lot worse when you abruptly change the velocity of water in a pipe. And so as a result, I've conducted surge analyses using old data, and it's unacceptable. The error is on the wrong side of safety. That's my biggest gripe.
So how, I mean, I hear all this and it's a challenge, right? A challenge that we do have all of this data and what do we do with it? And then, so part of me is thinking critical thinking and like having time to think. I think walking through a plant, I was talking about this, that we don't give ourselves enough space to actually think. And then some of the AI things that I've been seeing, the more we do use AI, we kind of like lose some of that. We're not thinking, it's doing it for us. So we're not using that part. So we need to go actually use that muscle more on some other things to keep it active. Now, I'm all for making things easier. We should use it, right? But how can we continue to investigate and everything? So I love this. We have just a few more minutes, and I'm gonna kind of just go back to y'all to say maybe we all kind of have one last word of what you're excited about for Epic, or what you really want to see in industry, what you hope to gain from working with this people at San Jack, the students that are there, the industry that is there. And so I'll just let y'all go from that. Just kind of talk through that. And if you are here and you're not on camera, if you want to comment anything in the chat so we can hear from you too, please do that. All right. Gakuo, you have to go first since I almost forgot you earlier.
Sure. As always, Epic to me it brings people to a different environment. And let's just be honest, I had conversations with other engineers that your environment shapes you. And unfortunately, some of us are lucky we get to see other environments, others not so lucky. Epic brings you to new spaces, whether it's a college or university, whether it's a mine, right? Whether it's a water treatment plant. You're going to gain something from it. So a lot of people who attend Epic or want to attend Epic, that's your chance to see something different that you haven't seen, which is awesome.
Greg?
I think you nailed it a little earlier, Charlie. Give ourselves time to think. I have to say one of the huge benefits to my new job is that I get a lot of time to think. A lot of it on planes, but I get a lot of time to think. And that's not always the case, as we've heard from many people here. So you get to go to Epic, and there's a spurring of ideas that start to come about, and you think, wow, I never really thought about that. I never thought about that industry. I never thought about using that product in this way. And it gives people that space, that time to kind of think through these things and say, wow, that's a really novel approach that could really help my organization out, help the world out, whatever it might be. So I think you nailed it. I think, having that time to actually think about what am I doing and why am I doing it is pretty special. So
Love that. George?
For me and my company, it's about giving back. I mean, that's exactly what we try to do. We focus on people, and anything we can do to mentor the next generation is a positive. The last thing we want to do is go to another company that has the challenge of evolving their culture. So the more we can impact the younger generation, the faster, the less likely they're going to need us to come back.
That's so good. Tom?
Since I'm on my way out of working in industry, every time, I'm this close to retirement, and my supervisor says, we don't want you to leave. Write a book, tell us what you do, and we can't find a replacement for you. And I'm a walking encyclopedia of surge analysis for the company. And so they're just asking me, whatever, will throw money at you and your 401k and feed you good lunches and whatever. Just don't leave. And so I said, all right, it's me sitting at the house watching TV. But in the meantime, I do mentor the younger engineers, and I'm always acting as a science fair judge for the local Friendswood High School, and mentor some of their students on their projects. And then they'll have the Houston area citywide science fair projects. Then that'll be coming up in March or April sometime, and have that in Richmond or Rosenberg, and I'll go and do that. And so it's something I enjoy, and it's at least share what I know with the high school students coming up, and maybe some of them will be future engineers.
I love it. Craig?
Yeah, one of the things I love working with younger folks, because I think they deserve to know what good leadership looks like. I mean, too many of us have probably worked for too long under a bad boss, and it's affected us and affected our lives. And, likewise, I think everybody deserves to understand what it looks like to be a good boss too. And so one of the things we've talked about, Charlie, is the power that community can have in growth, whether that's as a leader, as an engineer. And so I'm excited to jump into this environment and see that happening within the community, and get to add my piece to it, and just help people make the small change, or understand the small thing that can honestly just make their lives better. So
Love it. Randall Furman?
Well, one of the rewards of being in an industry like this is being able to talk to people. And like the last Epic conference in Golden, I met Andrew Krespach, and I found out things about mechanical seals that I never imagined. And yet they were questions in my mind for years, and he just happened to be a person with answers, or viewpoints that really mattered.
Or time to talk, right?
Yeah, and the time to talk. So, as I say, it's a reward to be able to go to a conference and have time to meet people and speak with them. That's one of the perks of the kind of business we're in and who we are.
Love it. Kelly?
Just kind of building off of what Craig just said, and how, people and these students really deserve to, work for good leadership. For me, taking off my project management hat and putting on my marketing hat, I truly feel that people also deserve to have their story told. And I think the beautiful thing about Epic, about this group, and as we touched on diversity and inclusion, is really opening ourselves up to that wider audience, giving students and people access to this audience, letting their stories be heard, and letting them hear the stories of others to help inspire them in their career choices.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Okay, I clicked and moved around. So I think Stephanie had to go. She wrote her final thoughts over here. I'll just read those quickly. Let's see. Think about your years in school, specifically junior high, high school. When I grew up, 20 minutes down the road were the largest manufacturing facilities, oil and gas companies, nuclear plants. I had no clue who they were, what they did, much less that I could go and get a great job in an amazing industry. It's so important that we find ways to engage the local school districts. That's our future workforce. Let's help get them excited about the future. And how can we expect educators and counselors to guide them in careers in industries if they don't even know about them themselves? Oh, so good. So good. Greg had to jump off as well. Jeremy, I think I missed you.
Yeah, just super quick. In 2025, we now have the platform where everyone can have an opinion. And in some ways, that's really cool. And in other ways, it's terrifying just from the information overload, especially for people that are really hungry to be educated and informed, and to sort through the noise is terrifying these days. especially even with AI filters. Now you can Google inside Google and have your own special Google AI version of Google. And so I just like my gratitude for for partners like yours is you serve as that credibility and authenticity filter that people can show up to and know that they're getting trusted voice, trusted opinions, trusted experience, rather than just dangerously Googling out in the Wild West answers to their infinite amount of problems.
Yes, I find people online all the time, and it is something to just trust that, right? Versus, oh, I've met them at an industry event. Completely different. My team, y'all have anything else to add?
I mean, everyone kind of nailed it on obviously Epic is a place that you can learn about new things. So continuing your personal and professional development, connecting and building on your audience or your network specifically, but also the one thing is the awareness. So there are so many different things within the industry available to you career-wise. Yes, we talked about the younger professionals, but even those who are currently in the middle of their careers or even later on in their careers, there's so many options within the industry that you might not know that are out there. And so being able to come to industry events and see all of the vast different people and what they do in all the different industries is really impactful to see, where maybe you could make a difference in a different industry or in a different role. So it is a really cool experience to be able to see all of the industry has to offer, not just one segmented division of it.
Love it. Amber?
Yeah, I think Craig nailed it when he was talking about community and leadership. That is one of the biggest things that as a company we focus on across the board. But this year, I think every year we do something super cool. Last year we did the mine. This year, the pump swap is just really high on my bucket list. Because I don't work in the pump industry, I work around the pump industry. So I would never have the opportunity to see anything like that. But to see the hands-on and see students getting to like be there and hands-on with it is awesome.
Yeah, if they're actually doing the work, they're going to be taking replacing a pump, moving it aside. Then we can look at the pump and see what the problem was with it, which is also going to give them this knowledge and information just by being part of that class and being part of industry coming together with them and being able to say, okay, this is what's going on with this pump. Also, they'll get the gaskets are going to be changed out. They're going to be doing that. And there's one right by this pump that is going to be swapped out for a new one that also has to be done correctly. So there's some moving pieces to this Operation Pump Swap, and we're just so excited about that. I'm also really excited about having the Women in Industry panel and having our meetup associated with Epic because it's co-ed, everybody's there, we're all working together, which is what we're trying to have help happen here, bringing the workforce and industry together. So y'all, thanks for the extra 5. And I really, really appreciate you being on here today. You're amazing. Love my pump industry pros. Thanks so much.